shouldn't do for work, right? So there we go. I just copied and pasted the data directly from that website, and I pasted it into Excel, and it doesn't look very pretty. I added some mirrors to it, right? But see, this is one line has too much of that. Now, registered. Okay, less than 40 meters. I want to take that data. It's very not fun to play with this data. You're using right, I'm just going to do that later. So we're going to make some charts. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to visualize this. This is not fun to watch. It's not fun to do. I have friends who work in a group called Hong Kong Open Data. And they're asking the government to release this sort of data more easily. Because this is not fun to work with. You know what, it might just be easier to do, you know what, yeah, 10.4, 11.1. Sometimes, yeah, copying and pasting is not really the best. That data. Yeah. I'm going to go up just to keep things better. 7.5. Okay, so there's a order to all this noise. All right, 9.2, 7.6. Done. All right. You guys see what I'm doing here? All right, we've now cleaned up our data. Except for I'm going to ourselves some data formatting issues here because of white sounds. Watch this. Take all that, and replace. I don't want any empty spaces. Okay, sometimes that works. Almost done. This is boring, but this is necessary. Aha! And I'm going to go back to that government site real quick to see. It says actually 2007 to 2011. But you don't live in 2011. Let's have fun with this. Let's go out to 2020. Where are we going with all this? Here, now, is a little trick. Forecast for 2014. All right, known Ys. These are our known Ys. Okay, next. What are our known X's? And we're going to repeat this pattern, right? So the D4, that's not going to change. Okay. Now that's what the dollar sign means. It fixes it, right? By columns and rows. Now, so we don't want those moving at all. The next ones, we do want it to go down, so I'm going to copy and paste the formula, right? So we want the green bar to keep going down, right? So those are rows. So we want the rows to move, but we want the columns to stay, right? So we want the D freeze and H to freeze, but we want the 5 and the 6 to move around. We do the same thing. We want I to stay, but we're going to want the blue to move different mirrors. Bam. Now, it's useful, I just painted that to show that this is my own forecast. Wow! Something went wrong. Let's look. Aha! There we go. That's all pretty now. Here we go. So we see these trends moving out, right? So what we can say is based on the given trends in 2015, so you see what's going on here, right? So I'll move this closer. Let's make a chart, make it visualize it, because I can already see what's happening. Maybe you guys have difficulty with it. Let's do lines. Let me try that one more time. Excel can be weird. There we go. So this is what we see, right? I don't know what's in I'm a sucker. I want it all. Can you read that? Maybe not. I just don't like all these different colors. Anyways. say, you be careful of how we word this, right? You don't want to say real estate, because real estate can be commercial. Here we go. We'll use the exact private. We'll use the government wording. Private residential properties by vacancy rate. Down. Okay. So now we have a pretty chart. Nice. All right. Make it a little bigger. It's just me. I like seeing. Not that one. Wait a second. There we go. That looks a little bit pretty. Now, start to see two things here, right? So we're looking at some data, and what we see is curious, right? So I'm actually going to recolor this. Let's do reds. Okay, so let's do, we do blue for the big ones, right? I don't like Excel sometimes. Okay, so it's line. There we go. Line. All right, so we're the big properties would be blue. So that's too close. Oops, exact same color. Okay, so what we have here now on this Purdy chart that I made, the red are the small housing units, right? So this is below 70 square meters. It's interesting that you're using meters square. I'm going to actually change this. We usually sell Hong Kong property by feet. So another window you can't see right now. I'm pulling out a calculator so I forget the exact conversion. All right. So they're saying 40. Okay. So if you're not knowing what I'm doing, I'm switching it over to square feet, because that's what we use more frequently in Hong Kong, so it makes more sense to me. And in the screen that you can't see, I've got a unit converter. you see how as I'm changing this, alright, so now we're working with feet rather than meters, which makes it easier to read for me. Alright, so now this actually makes a bit more sense. It's a bit more legible. So mine is going to be in this bracket here, right? No, sorry. It's going to be in this bracket here. I'm going to make it green. Or purple. Purple, there we go. So purple is what's affecting me, right? Okay, so this is what we're seeing. We're seeing here very clearly. We're kind of projecting out. Yeah, in fact, I don't think we have to project that far out. Let's just stick it with 2015 to make it sharp and neat. We see where things are going. Okay, so I'm reading this chart for us. What we're seeing is that the largest units, okay, so the ones that are over 1,700 square feet, that's really big, right? So mine is about 680. So let's do a quick. So yeah, this would be 2.5 times the size of my flat, right? There's a lot of these on the market, and upwards of 12% of them are unavailable, right? We see this slightly lower number, about 10% for these that are for more than 1,000 square feet to 1,700. Okay, and for the bracket, let's just actually let me go back real quick and see. Are we talking gross? Okay, so this is an interesting point that so in Hong Kong we have gross and net when you're looking at square feet of houses. So gross includes things like elevators, clubhouses, just all sorts of things, right? So my house, I think, is like 680, and then it's like 900 something. Oops, other way around. Right, so I don't know if they're counting the gross or if they're counting the net. They're not making it clear. Let's put that government document back in. They're not making clear, or they're not. Let's just do a quick Google search. Gross, net, new. So they're not being very careful with their data, but this is the data that we have. So actually, my flat might be in this here, or it might be in that there. You see two different trends. This is two different things. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to go back, actually. Let's keep that one red. I'm assuming that you're using gross, because that's what's advertised the most often, even if it's misleading. Let's make it orange, unlike anything else. Okay, so I'm going to stop here in about 1 minute and just kind of explain what I'm looking at. So I'm saying that I think one of the reasons why my house was so expensive is because of these empty houses around my flat. And then I just took a look at the government data. I filled it in using linear regression, it's the forecast function. Let's take a look at that real quick. See the forecast function, forecasting. So we're forecasting the year based on 2000 to 2011 data that the government has provided. Right, I'm forecasting for 2012. I can go all the way out. Right, that's how that worked. I showed you guys how to do that. So what I am seeing is that actually I am correct. That is a big issue, that for flats my size that I should be, let's actually look precisely. So I'm here, right here. So that cell that I'm pointing at, I can expect that 9% of the flats in Hong Kong that are of the size that I would be looking for are not available, right? That they're just off the market. So I'm stuck with 90%. And it's increasing, right? To the point that we can expect that by 2020, it'll be up to 10.6%, right? So whatever the government's doing, they're not discouraging this enough because this keeps rising. It's an issue that, very interestingly, it's not affecting smaller flats, right? So the older homes we see around Hong Kong, they're not empty. Those are all moving fast. But then the higher up we go, once we go up towards the Peak and places like that, the really big houses, you see a pretty clear extreme. So I even might want to do another chart just to kind of show the discrepancies. Bar charts are always good. All right. Right, that's one way of doing it. You can also do, yeah. So if we do as a bar chart, there you go. That's pretty. So we see this very clear breakup here of the larger the flat, the more vacancy rates there are. So for people in my, this paper is ostensibly concerned with my situation. This is a problem that could be fixed with government policy.